Hey, are you thinking about moving to Richmond, Virginia? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about the pros and the cons. So let's go. If this is your first time to my channel, stop what you're doing, hit that bell button, subscribe now, like the video so I can alert you with more videos like this in the future. Okay, let's talk about the cons before we talk about the pros. We're gonna get these cons out the way about Richmond. It's gonna be brief when it comes to the cons for Richmond. But one of the cons is the weather. Now, you might say the weather, but when people move to the Richmond, Virginia area, they get to complaining about their allergies. Some people move to the area, never had allergies all of their life, and then when they move to Richmond, they suffer with allergies. I suffer with allergies. I'm born and raised in the area, so I'm a little used to it. But people do complain about the weather. When they move here, their allergies, all of a sudden, they have allergies. So I will put that as a con. Another thing is the snow. Now, my wife said, why is that a con? Well, Virginia, we don't handle the snow like they might do up north. We don't have the equipment to get all the snow off the road and continue with school and work. Everything shuts down. The schools, the churches, everything shuts down when it comes to the snow. And that can be a con. It can be a pro, just depends. People like when the school shuts down, but it can be a con when it comes to the snow because we just don't have a lot of snow in the Richmond area. And that kind of leads to another con because when they do come and scrape the roads up to get the snow up, that leaves potholes. And some people complain about the potholes. Our roads are bad, some people say. And then that leads to another con. You have bad drivers in the Richmond area. I don't think the drivers are bad, maybe because I'm from the area, but different people from different areas say, you guys have bad drivers, you can't drive in the snow and you can't drive in the rain. But hey, who knows? So I gotta put all those cons together when it comes to the weather, the allergies, the snow, and the car crashes from bad drivers. So all of those cons kind of go together. Another con for the area is things were shut down pretty early. It's not like it is in some of your major cities where things are stay open 24/7 or to 4 o'clock in the morning. You have nightlife, yes, that will stay open to maybe 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock, but things usually shut down pretty early, even when it comes to restaurants. 9, 10 o'clock during the week, things are shutting down. Of course, you have your IHOP and your Waffle House, things like that will stay open for 24 hours, but for the most part, things will shut down a little earlier in the Richmond area. Stay open a little longer during the weekend, but that can be a con depending on where you're coming from and depending on what you're used to. Another con is there's no major league teams in the area, no professional teams like your NBA, your NFL, your Major League Baseball, hockey. Now we do have the Squirrels baseball, but on that major league level, we do not have a team. So no NFL team, no NBA team, no hockey team when it comes to the Richmond, Virginia area. I wish we had one, I really do. But the cool thing about it, if you want to catch an NBA game or NFL game, you can either go north to south, 2 hours away, and you can find an NFL, NBA hockey game. So another con is this, we have Richmond International Airport nearby. That's a great thing. That can be a pro as well. But one of the cons about Richmond International is we call it international. I don't know why. Because you can't find a flight that's going to take you from Richmond to out the country. You're going to have to find a connection flight most of the time somewhere. Now you can fly straight from Richmond to Vegas, but to go from Richmond to out of the country, it's not going to happen. So some people complain about that being a con. It's like, I wish I could find a straight flight to go somewhere. If that was the case, you have to go to, usually DC, one of the closest spots 2 hours away. There, so that you can have a straight flight to go to Mexico or Jamaica or wherever it is you want to go as far as international. So I will have to put that as a con because I've heard several people complain about that. It's not really international. Okay, one of the last cons we're going to talk about is the inventory. Inventory is low in the Richmond area. We have like 30 buyers and there's only 10 homes for sale in the area. So inventory is going to be a con. So that's why it's important you get with the realtor like myself, come up with a strong game plan. So when you see the house that you really like and love and want to buy in the Richmond area, we can put an offer in and we can definitely win that offer. So Unfortunately, the con is the inventory is low, so typically if it's a nice house, there will be a bidding war in this time in the market. Okay, enough about the bad, the cons. Let's get into the good part, the pros of Richmond. Now we're gonna start back with the weather as a pro. I'm gonna tell you why. We have 4 seasons. Sometimes people come from Florida, it's hot all the time. People come up from north and they're talking about the snow and it's too cold. Richmond have a pleasant 4 seasons. You know, you have a nice winter, it's not too bad, it don't get too cold. Springtime is nice, fall is nice, hot. Summertime it can get a little hot, just a little bit, but it's not overwhelming like it is in maybe Florida or Texas. So the 4 seasons, I will have to give that a pro when it comes to the weather in the Richmond, Virginia area. Another pro is the food and the breweries. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and try to name all of the food places that Richmond has to offer and all the different breweries that we have, but I'm going to tell you this. If you research it, you look it up, it's plenty. And I do recommend, I'm not talking about your Olive Garden, your Applebee's. I'm not talking about any food chains. I'm talking about some local restaurants, and the food is amazing. The breweries are amazing. The atmosphere is amazing when it comes to Richmond. I'm not saying that because I'm from this area, but it's really nice. I've been to a lot of different cities. But when you're talking about Richmond, Richmond's not a very big city, but I really say, hey, we have some good food and good breweries. I really think you enjoy that, and I definitely have to put that as a pro. Another pro is the location. You would love the location here because you're only 2 hours away from Washington, D.C. area. Of course, you know, D.C., you have the White House, the monuments, the different things that you can visit there, your shopping, which is a great thing when you're only 2 hours away. If you go east of here, you have Williamsburg, which is a nice tourist attraction, and it's only an hour away from Richmond, Virginia. And in that area, you have a lot of history. You have a theme park called Busch Gardens. The kids would love it, along with their Water Country USA, the water park, which is very nice. Like I said, a lot of eateries, a lot of history right there in Williamsburg. Then if you keep going east, which is only 2 hours away from Richmond, Virginia, is Virginia Beach. You have the ocean, which is nice. The boardwalk, the strip is plenty things to do, nice family atmosphere that you would definitely love. Only 2 hours east of Richmond, Virginia. Then you have the mountains. If you go west, you have the mountains, only 2 hours away. It's nice that you can drive that far and all of a sudden you see the mountains. The scenery is beautiful, very beautiful. Different things to do out there in the mountain area as well. So when you think about Richmond, Virginia location, it's perfect. Even if you're in the middle of, if you have to travel up north of New York, or if you want to go all the way south to Florida, you're only 12 hours. So as far as the East Coast side, when you think about Richmond, Virginia, you're like in the middle. So location is definitely a pro. Another pro is your education right here in the Richmond, Virginia area. I always tell people that I can't give you my opinion as a licensed realtor, but do your due diligence. You can go to niche.com, you can go to greatschools.org and find out the different schools that's in the area. But Richmond, they have some nice private schools that's ranked very high. Maggie Walker, for an example, is a governor's school that's ranked very high on niche.com. Then you have your different colleges that's in the area, community colleges that's very nice. And you have BCU, you have University of Richmond. Liberal arts is big in the area. They rank like number 25 in the nation or in the United States. Once again, please do your due diligence. But I do know the liberal arts is very popular in the area. So when it comes to a pro, we definitely have to put education as a pro when it comes to Richmond, Virginia. Another pro is jobs. Because of Richmond, Virginia, it has so many different corporations right here. It's a good place to find a job. A good friend of mine, he moved all the way from Ohio to the Richmond area because of his job. So when it comes to a pro, we definitely have to put that in the mix because you have so many different corporations that's right here in Richmond, Virginia when it comes to your job opportunity. One of the last pros that we're going to talk about is the things to do in the Richmond area. It's a ton of things to do. We have different museums that you can check out. It's a lot of history that's in the area. You have the Holocaust Museum, just to give you an example. You have the Civil War Museum. Different museums is right here in the Richmond area. Then you have your different parks. You have your Berry Park. You have your Maymont Park. You have Browns Island. Browns Island's pretty cool. They have these different bands that come out on like Friday, call it Friday Cheers, and you can have something to drink, you can have different food, and listen to some good music. So it's still different entertainment at these different parks. And then you have the James River. James River is a nice feature that Richmond has to offer. You can do your different water sports like your kayaking. They have different river boats that go out on the weekend. And then your different eateries that we talked about earlier. Some of them are in front of the James River. So it's nice to get on the boat. You can even rent a boat from certain places. Or if you have a boat, there is a marina in Richmond where you can park your boat. And when you go to these different places, when it comes to your boat ride, you can be on the other side of the water, check out the Richmond area. It is super nice, a nice scenery to see Richmond, Virginia from the water side. But definitely check out the James River if you move to the area. And everything is not together when it comes to the Richmond area because you do have different parts of Richmond. You have your Scott's Addition, you have Carytown, you have the Shockoe Bottom, and then you also have like Churchill. So there's different areas when it comes to the Richmond area, but different features. They have their own little style, their own little culture, but collectively, that's what makes Richmond. So if you're thinking about moving to the Richmond area, it's a lot of historical homes, different condos, and different places you can buy. Definitely historical. We're going to stop and talk about that for a second because you have a lot of people just building these areas up. It's very nice. You have these older homes that were built in the early 1900s, and they're making these places immaculate. So if you like older homes, the row houses, or if you want to be in a condo, townhouse, Richmond has a lot to offer. It's one of the cons that we talked about earlier. The inventory is low. But if you're thinking, hey, I want this certain house, or I love this house, Chris, talk to me. We can come up with a strong game plan so we can get you that beautiful home. Richmond has so many things to offer. I couldn't mention every little detailed thing about Richmond, but this gives you a great idea of what Richmond has to offer. I always say I don't care if you're moving next week, next month, or next year. Please, please reach out to me. My team and I would love to help you make that smooth move to Richmond, Virginia.